Morning, guys. Monday. I used a little bit of leftover stain to get the fire going good. I just burned the can out. Once the can's burned out, I can just throw it in the metal bin. Get some money for it. So it's Monday, April 7th, 2025. Just reaching for my coffee. Cheers, guys. So it's raining. I'm in the garage and I'm going to be checking the timing on this truck. The other day, just for the hell of it, I loosened the distributor up and I kicked it up a little bit, and the engine seemed to be a little more, I don't know, it seemed a little doggy at first in the morning, and but I'm not sure if I advanced it too much because I didn't have the time light. So now I'm going to check the time. And actually, the connector is underneath the fender or under the floor here, because that's just kind of where the wires ended up. So I got to go under there to unplug it, but no big deal. I noticed Mark at Mark's Garage bought a new truck. And he's wondering what he's going to do. Is he going to restore it original, or... But I got the feeling that what he wants to do is do a body swap. And I'm going to see if I can sell him on using something similar to what I did here with the 48. I took a mid-90s long bed Chevrolet pickup frame, 305. It's the... R4700, the overdrive transmission, drive shaft, rear, everything is all, from that year, that era, which made it extremely easy because these throttle body injected engines, the wiring harnesses and everything are very easy to disconnect and take out of the car and put in something else. I pulled all of the wiring harness out of the donor vehicle. Could see the computers mounted under there, but what I really wanted you to notice was these tubs right here. These little pieces I made. You can see it on both sides. So to get the body down on the frame, I cut some slots, and now if you were to look under that, you'd see frame comes up almost like within a half, 3/4 of an inch to those tins that I made and sealed in with seam sealer. You notice how nice and dry it is under there. And that gave me the ability to just set this body right down on this frame, no problem. I made my own mounts in the rear. Using the original center mount, I ran an additional piece across the frame and used the original center mount. And then in the front, I was able to actually just cut off a portion of the section that stuck out of the frame and put my new body mount, so the body mounts are in the original positions right there, setting on the frame where they would have been in the 90s. Just moved in a little bit, and it worked out perfect. I could probably show you that, I think. Let me get a drop light. I'll show you where I hooked up the frame. I don't know if you can see, but came right off the original, right up to the original for the 90s mount was right there, and then I came off of that and went up. So it worked out well. You can see I worked that in well, and then in the rear, like I said, I used the original center mount with the rubber, and I put an additional frame brace across. So I was able to use the original steering column. I incorporated the original shift. I made my own automatic shifter and just put that handle on it from the stick shift from the original truck. Unfortunately, the capillary tube for the temperature gauge was cut off, so I have an aftermarket gauge, and then that's the fuel gauge, because that didn't, I wanted to use the original sender, so I had to use an aftermarket, and that was 6 volt. I would have ended up using a voltage limiter or something to get it down to 6 volt to get the original to work. It's not worth it. So I replaced a couple of the gauges with aftermarket. As far as the engine and everything, I mean, if you could find a, say like a C10 from the mid-90s that was in decent shape, I don't know, you're looking at maybe like $8,000 for a decent mid-90s C10. If somebody had partially restored, and then you could part out whatever you can as far as the bed parts and take your bed and your cab, put it right on there. All the fuel lines, everything. I mean, it's so simple because it was already there. You know what I'm saying? The radiator I kind of stuffed in. That's the original radiator from the Impala. Stuffed it at an angle. I put an electric fan on because you can see the fan would be kind of high for the radiator. And the only thing I had to do was I cut a little bit off the top of the top hose so that the radiator could lean back and not kink the hose. Made a little bracket to hold it up. But you see, I kind of made my own pillars to hold up the front end there, right off the originals. I went down, and then I put a frame brace across, because I had to cut quite a bit off. I cut almost 80% of the front frame off. And I wanted to make sure I had a brace across, because you don't want flex when you're turning the wheel and the car's not moving. So that holds it together pretty well. It's very simple construction and very simple to change, like the brake booster and everything. I put the same connection plug through the firewall. See how I just cut the square hole and used the original wiring harness right through the firewall with the bulkhead connector. I had to buy steering column parts, a bunch of U-joints, and the piece there, what is it? I forget the name of it. It's not Clevis. Where it supports the shaft so it doesn't flop around. But very simple work. Very easily fits right in there. You can see the transmission is a little tight to the cab. The dipstick almost touches the cab, but the distributor's got the small head. It's got the small distributor. If it had that big HEI, they might have had to push the firewall back with a hammer a little bit. This has the smaller electronic distributor. As far as the bed, with the frame and everything going back, if you have to adjust the wheelbase, there's a nice long straight section. What I did was I cut the frame and I brought it back together. I cut it at an angle, like a 45. Then I cut it again at a 45, and I brought the two pieces, took the section out, and welded it together. Simple with an arc welder. Then I put a couple of plates on the outside. On each side I put a diamond plate, just for a little extra. Doesn't hurt to overkill a little bit. But I'm thinking, if you go... See, I just think a lot of people make a mistake. They think, oh, S10 frame. You don't need an S10 frame for this. You can obviously see that those wheels fit nicely into the wheel wells on this C. It's not... The body's not too wide for the fenders. I mean, the wheels. You won't need to flare the fenders out or anything. And you're going to have a modern suspension system. A-frame, upper, lower, control arm, good system. So you see what's going on here, Rusty, Rhode Island, guys. I'm trying to convince Mark into doing a body swap. That's Mark's garage. I don't know if he did an antique GMC. Now he's bought another one in late 50s. And he's going to do something with it. Out from Rusty, Rhode Island, guys. Hope you enjoy your day.